There are moments in life when you wait for a hand, a sign, a call, a person who arrives just in time and says, "Don't worry, I'm here, I'll take care of it, I'll get you out of this." There are moments when your soul becomes so tired that it no longer wants to be strong, no longer wants to think, no longer wants to decide, no longer wants to keep pretending that everything is fine. And then, in the middle of that deep exhaustion, a silent hope is born. That someone will see us, that someone will rescue us, that someone will understand without us having to explain, that someone will come and lift us from the ground where life left us. But one of the hardest truths, and at the same time one of the most freeing, is this: no one is coming to save you the way you expect. And not because no one loves you, not because good people do not exist, not because you are destined to live alone or carry everything forever, but because there are battles that, even if someone walks beside you, only you can fight. There are wounds that may be embraced by others, but only you can decide to heal. There are decisions no one can make for you. There are roads no one can walk with your feet. There are moments when life forces you to look at yourself directly and accept that, even if it hurts, even if it is hard, even if you do not know where to begin, your rescue begins with you. Sometimes we spend years waiting for something outside of us to change. We wait for someone to value us so we can feel valuable. We wait for someone to apologize so we can close a wound. We wait for someone to choose us so we can feel enough. We wait for someone to motivate us so we can begin. We wait for someone to push us so we can move forward. We wait for life to become easier before we try to be happy. And while we wait, time passes. Days disappear. Opportunities grow cold. Dreams remain stored away. And we stay there in the same emotional place, looking toward the door, believing that one day someone will walk in and save us from our sadness, our fear, our insecurity, our own story. But life rarely works that way. Life often does not rescue you through a person. Sometimes it rescues you through a crisis, through a loss, through a disappointment, through a silence, through an "I can't do this anymore," through a night when you cry until you have no strength left, and still, the next day you have to get up. Sometimes life saves you by breaking the illusions that were keeping you trapped. Sometimes it saves you by taking away what you were clinging to, even if it hurts. Sometimes it saves you by leaving you alone so you can discover that inside you there was a strength you had never needed to use before. Because there is a version of you that is only born when no one comes. A stronger version, a more aware version, a braver version, a more awakened version. A version that no longer begs where it is not wanted, that no longer waits for crumbs of attention, that no longer settles for empty promises, that no longer hands its peace over to just anyone, that no longer stays in places where its soul grows dim. That version of you is not born on comfortable days. It is born on difficult days. It is born when you realize that crying is not enough, complaining is not enough, waiting is not enough. It is born when you understand that you can feel pain and still move, that you can be afraid and still move forward, that you can be tired and still take one small step. Learning to get back up on your own does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean closing your heart. It does not mean saying, "I don't need anyone," because we all need love, companionship, support, and understanding. We are human. We need connection. We need to feel heard. We need arms to rest in from time to time. But there is a huge difference between receiving support and depending on someone to save you. One thing is allowing someone to walk with you. Something very different is sitting on the floor and refusing to move until someone carries you. Getting back up on your own means recognizing that, even though others may help you, the responsibility for your life is still yours. Your peace is yours. Your healing is yours. Your decisions are yours. Your future is yours. Your boundaries are yours. Your dreams are yours. No one can live for you. No one can heal for you. No one can recover the years you continue giving away to people, places, or thoughts that destroy you. No one can force you to start over if you remain attached to the past. No one can give you self-love if you continue treating yourself as if you do not deserve anything better. And perhaps that is one of the most painful parts. Accepting that many times we are not trapped only by what was done to us, but also by what we continue allowing after we have already understood it. It hurts to recognize this, but it also sets you free, because as long as you believe everything depends on others, you feel powerless. But when you accept your part, when you accept that there is something you can do, even if it is small, you recover your power. Maybe you cannot change what happened. Maybe you cannot make someone come back. Maybe you cannot erase a betrayal. Maybe you cannot recover a lost opportunity. Maybe you cannot control what others think, feel, or decide. But you can decide what you will do with all of that. You can decide whether you will live the rest of your life as the victim of a wound or as someone who, even with scars, chose to rebuild themselves. Getting back up on your own begins in a very intimate place. The moment you stop lying to yourself. When you say, "This hurts me." When you accept, "This is not good for me." When you recognize, "I am tired of living this way." When you admit, "I have waited too long." When you understand, "I cannot keep abandoning myself so that others will stay." When you finally say, "Even if no one comes, I am going to do something for myself." That moment is not always beautiful. It does not always feel inspiring. Sometimes there is no background music, no perfect phrase, no immediate feeling of strength. Sometimes that moment happens in silence, with swollen eyes, a broken heart, a messy room, and a soul in pieces. Sometimes getting back up on your own does not look like a great victory. Sometimes it looks like taking a shower after days of sadness, like making your bed even when you do not feel like it, like eating something even when pain closes your stomach, like blocking someone you love but who destroys you, like sending a resume even when you do not believe in yourself, like turning off your phone so you stop waiting for a message, like taking a deep breath and saying, "Today I will not give up." Do not underestimate those small acts. Sometimes they are miracles disguised as routine, because getting back up does not always mean conquering the world. Sometimes it means surviving a difficult night. Sometimes it means not calling again the person who humiliates you. Sometimes it means stopping yourself from checking whether someone is online. Sometimes it means asking for professional help. Sometimes it means cleaning your space because your mind is already too heavy. Sometimes it means saying no with a trembling voice. Sometimes it means starting over, even if you feel ashamed to admit that you lost time. And yes, it can feel embarrassing. It can hurt to look back and think, "Why did I allow so much? Why did I wait so long? Why didn't I leave sooner? Why didn't I believe in myself?" But do not use your past as a whip. Do not punish yourself for surviving the best way you could. There are things we understand late, not because we are weak, but because before that we did not have the tools, the clarity, or the strength to do things differently. Sometimes we do not wake up when we want to, but when we are finally able to. And if today you are waking up, even if it is late, even if it hurts, even if you are afraid, that also has value. You are not late to your life as long as you can still decide to change. Maybe you cannot start from zero because no one truly starts from zero. We all begin again from our wounds, from our losses, from our experiences, from our marks. But you can start from where you are, with what you have, with what you know now, with the strength you still have left, with the dignity that still lives inside you, even if it has been buried under exhaustion. Learning to get back up on your own also means no longer waiting for others to understand your process. Not everyone will understand why you changed. Not everyone will applaud your boundaries. Not everyone will celebrate that you are no longer the person they could manipulate. Some will say you became selfish when, in reality, you simply learned to take care of yourself. Some will say you are exaggerating when, in reality, you are finally listening to your pain. Some will be bothered because you no longer accept what you accepted before. But you do not need to convince everyone. You do not need to explain every step of your healing. You do not need permission to save yourself. Sometimes true growth makes uncomfortable those who benefited from your lack of self-love. And that must also be accepted, because when you begin to get back up, some people stay behind. Some relationships break. Some dynamics stop working. Some places no longer feel like home. And even though that hurts, it is also a sign that you are changing. The version of you that settled for little cannot accompany you to the place where you are learning to value yourself. The version of you that lived waiting for approval cannot fully enter a life where peace matters more than other people's opinions. Getting back up on your own means no longer negotiating your dignity. It means understanding that you do not have to stay where you are hurt just because you were once happy there. It means understanding that loving someone does not mean allowing them to destroy you. It means accepting that some people may be important in your story, but not healthy for your present. It means learning that letting go does not always mean you stopped loving. Sometimes it means you finally began to love yourself. And how difficult that self-love is, the one everyone talks about, because it does not always feel like beautiful phrases in front of a mirror. Sometimes self-love feels like a loss, like a goodbye, like a decision that hurts, like a door you close while crying, like a conversation you do not want to have, like giving up something you wanted, but that was slowly dimming your light. Self-love is not always comfortable. Sometimes it is the discipline of not returning to what breaks you. That is why no one can save you if you continue choosing your own prison. Someone can tell you that you deserve more, but only you can believe it. Someone can warn you that this is not the place for you, but only you can leave. Someone can hug you when you cry, but only you can decide not to return to the same place that made you cry. Someone can give you words of encouragement, but only you can turn them into action. No one can do for you that silent and difficult part where you get up, wipe your tears, and choose differently. And no, it will not be easy. There will be days when you move forward and others when you feel like you are going backward. There will be days when you feel strong and others when you miss even what hurt you. There will be moments when you doubt your decision. Moments when loneliness feels heavy. Moments when you wonder if you truly can. But healing is not a straight line. Rebuilding yourself is not a perfect act. Getting back up on your own does not mean never falling. It means that when you fall, you no longer abandon yourself on the floor. That is the difference. Before, perhaps you waited for someone to pick you up. Now you learn to extend a hand to yourself. Before, maybe you thought your worth depended on who stayed. Now you begin to understand that your worth remains intact, even when someone leaves. Before, perhaps you believed that losing someone meant losing everything. Now you begin to discover that sometimes losing someone means recovering yourself. And that recovery may be slow, but it is powerful. One day you realize that you no longer cry over the same thing. One day you notice that a song no longer destroys you. One day you pass by a place and your chest no longer breaks. One day someone mentions a name and you no longer tremble. One day you laugh again without guilt. One day you make plans again. One day you look in the mirror and, even if you are not completely okay yet, you no longer see someone defeated. You see someone who survived. Someone who is still here. Someone who, despite everything, did not give up. And then you understand that no one came to save you the way you expected, but you began saving yourself in ways you did not recognize before. You saved yourself every time you chose not to answer a message that reopened the wound. You saved yourself every time you said, "No more." You saved yourself every time you asked for help instead of sinking in silence. You saved yourself every time you rested instead of demanding so much from yourself that you broke. You saved yourself every time you got out of bed without wanting to. You saved yourself every time you forgave yourself for not knowing before what you know now. You saved yourself every time you decided to continue, even when no one saw your effort. And that deserves respect. A lot of respect, because there are struggles no one sees. There are pains that are never posted. There are battles that happen inside a person while, on the outside, they seem calm. There are people who smile while they are learning not to collapse. There are people who work, care for others, answer messages, fulfill responsibilities, and inside they are trying to hold the pieces of themselves together. If you are one of those people, I want to tell you something. You are not weak because you are tired. You are not less valuable because you broke. You are not a failure because you fell. You are human, and as long as there is still a small intention inside you to get back up, there is still hope. Sometimes that small intention is enough to begin. You do not need to have your whole life figured out today. You do not need to know exactly where you are going. You do not need to feel invincible. You only need to take one honest step. One, then another, and then another. Strength does not always appear before action. Many times it appears afterward, when you prove to yourself that you could do something. Confidence does not always arrive first. It is built when you keep small promises to yourself. Promise yourself something simple. Promise yourself not to abandon yourself today. Promise yourself to speak to yourself with less cruelty. Promise yourself to rest if you are exhausted. Promise yourself to move a little farther away from what steals your peace. Promise yourself to do one thing, even something small, that brings you closer to the life you deserve. Because getting back up on your own is not an act of pride. It is an act of love. It is telling yourself, even if others did not know how to care for me, I am going to learn how to do it. It is becoming the home you searched for so much outside yourself. It is no longer begging for warmth in cold places and beginning to light your own fire. And yes, maybe someone will arrive someday. Maybe you will find people who accompany you beautifully, who hug you without breaking you, who listen without judging you, who walk with you without demanding that you lose yourself in order to deserve their presence. But when those people arrive, may they not find you destroyed, waiting to be rescued. May they find you building yourself. May they find you learning. May they find you standing, not because you never fell, but because you decided to get back up. Because the healthiest love does not come to save you from yourself. It comes to accompany someone who has already decided not to abandon themselves. No one is coming to save you from the life you do not dare to change. No one is coming to rescue you from the decisions you keep postponing. No one is coming to give you the strength you refuse to recognize. No one is coming to knock on your door with all the answers. But that does not mean you are lost. It means you have to begin walking even without guarantees. It means life is asking you to recover your power. It means the first rescue, the most important one, the most urgent one, has to be born from within. Get up, even if slowly. Get up without applause. Get up without witnesses. Get up afraid. Get up tired. Get up with your heart trembling. Get up even if it still hurts. Get up even if no one understands how difficult it was. Because one day you will look back and understand that the moment when you thought you were completely alone was also the moment when you began to find yourself. You will understand that the fall was not the end, but the beginning of a stronger version of you. You will understand that you did not need someone to come and save you. You needed to discover that inside you there was someone capable of doing it. And that someone is you. You with your wounds. You with your doubts. You with your scars. You with your story. You with your difficult nights. You with your tired but still living heart. Do not wait until you feel ready to get back up. Many times you get up first and you feel ready afterward. Do not wait until everything stops hurting to begin. Sometimes you begin with pain. Do not wait for someone else to believe in you before you believe in yourself. Sometimes the most important faith is the one born when no one else is watching. Today can be the day you stop waiting for someone to come. Today can be the day when, with tears or without them, with fear or without it, you decide to do something for yourself. Not something huge, not something perfect, just something real. Something that reminds you that you still have a voice, you still have a choice, you still have life. Because no one is coming to save you the way you imagined. But you can get back up. You can rebuild yourself. You can start again. You can stop dragging yourself through places where you are not valued. You can learn to choose yourself. You can turn your pain into strength. You can make your scars proof of survival, not a sentence of defeat. And when you finally get back up, even with trembling hands, you will understand something that will change your life. You were not waiting for someone to arrive. You were waiting to recognize yourself, to recognize that you could, to recognize that you were worthy, to recognize that you deserved more, to recognize that your life did not end in that fall, to recognize that, even broken, there was still a light inside you capable of turning on again. So get up, not because it does not hurt, not because it is easy, not because you have everything figured out. Get up because you deserve to live in a way that does not depend on someone else deciding to save you. Get up because your story is not over yet. Get up because the person you need the most is not always outside of you. Sometimes, the person who comes to save you appears the day you finally look in the mirror and decide never to abandon yourself again.